Welcome to another edition of the Nightly Nuge. And Ted, I don't know if you watched 60 Minutes last night. I did not watch the entire 60 Minutes because the show's so terrible. But you saw your good friend Ray Epps was on there, and I saw a bunch of clips. And basically, Ray Epps denied that he was an FBI informant. Ray Epps denied that he was ever employed by the FBI. Ray Epps said he was a Trump supporter. Ray Epps said that he was upset about the election, and that's why he was there saying, we're going to go to the Capitol. We're going to go into the Capitol. And by the way, 60 Minutes said they had reached out to the FBI, and the FBI gave an official statement, and that official statement said that Ray Epps is not an FBI informant, and Ray Epps has never worked for the FBI. And so before I give you the mic, I'm having a hard time with this, Ted, because Ray Epps literally is seen there breaching the barricade in the first wave in, plus all the other video inciting that violence. There are a lot of people, Ted, some of them your friends, some of them former military, some of them former law enforcement, that are in solitary confinement in Washington, D.C. So if you take Ray Epps at face value, that he was a Trump supporter up there trying to overturn the election, why is he not in jail? What do our listeners need to know about this, Ted?
Well, number one, a very, very happy April hunting season in the great land of the Thunder Chicken, where there are more turkeys in North America than ever in recorded history, thanks to the hunting families of this country. I want to start on a positive note. And I also want to dedicate the opening volley of the Nightly Nuge Truth, Logic, and Common Sense celebration every time to say, release Sergeant Dan Perry from jail in Texas for defending his life. Release George Kelly in Arizona for performing the most pure, natural, legal instinct of self-defense. George Kelly is in prison in Arizona because he defended his life. He literally stopped someone from killing him. Sergeant Dan Perry is in prison because he literally wouldn't let somebody kill him. And it is perfectly aligned with the identification of the cockroaches in our government that Ray Epps represents. Remember, Eric Holder and Barack Obama claimed they didn't know about Fast and Furious until we found their signature on the authorization for running illegal guns to the Mexican drug cartels 6 months prior. You can't trust Big Brother. The deep state, Uncle Sam, has been called the Great Satan by our enemies. With my heart bleeding and tears of blood coming down Old Glory's face, Uncle Sam is the Great Satan. The FBI is a criminal gangster organization. Uncle Sam is a criminal gangster, oath-violating, anti-American, anti-freedom cartel. Uncle Sam is opening our border to welcome the chemical warfare by the communist Chinese and their fentanyl murdering of Americans. How could anyone of conscience, anyone of any knowledge or faith or goodwill or decency possibly believe any decree by Uncle Sam or the FBI? So let's finish it right there. We're going to deal with a lot of important quality of life determining subjects on the Nightly Nuge, which is what our responsibility as experimenters in self-government is all about. And the Cockroach Spotlighting Award should go to you and me, Keith, and a few of our friends out there for spotlighting the criminal, deceptive, dishonest, oath-violating, treasonous Uncle Sam and the FBI. Ray Epps was a plant by the FBI. The violence and the vandalism were FBI agents or FBI operatives. You cannot believe these people. Never could you possibly call something an insurrection when nobody had any weapons and nobody planned to overthrow the government. In order for there to be an insurrection, you have to have a citizenry that is armed to overthrow the U.S. government. That's not what happened on January 6th. Free the January 6th political prisoners. That's the battle cry of the Nightly Nuge and all conscientious, decent Americans. Case closed.
Let me give you one last thought here and then give you the final word, Ted. So this couldn't have been a one-person run operation. There were a lot of feds in that crowd. We know that. There's obviously a hierarchy of decision-making in the FBI. Would you please, with your large megaphone, make a plea to those FBI agents, those in the government, to please step forward and become whistleblowers? Somebody has to expose this, Ted. Don't you agree?
You know, Keith, great minds think alike, especially great minds that are critical thinkers, which, by the way, everybody out there, thank you for supporting the Nightly Nuge. You must be conscientious experimenters in self-government, and the most important responsibility of all, to be a critical thinker. This morning, as I was doing my chores, I was fixing fence, and I rarely make notes about what we're going to talk about because there's so many important issues, but I did mention free the January 6th political prisoners, free Dan Perry, free George Kelly. You know what else I wrote? A plea to my military and law enforcement blood brothers to stand up and repeat and live by their sacred oath to the U.S. Constitution. That's the number one priority of not just the citizens of the United States, Keith. Literally on my phone this morning, I wrote down, prod my military and law enforcement blood brothers to stand up. The most important responsibility of an American is to be a whistleblower, be suspicious of all authority, more now than ever since the Concord Bridge, and to spotlight the cockroaches and those in law enforcement and the military that have been disciplined and trained to obey commands. More powerful than that discipline and training is your moral compass and your natural instinct to defy immoral commands and oath-violating orders. You guys and gals, I know you. I'm one of you. I've relied on you to cover my back during raids on felonies, on felons and child molesters and murderers and carjackers and rapists. I was at your shoulder arresting evil people, and I had to trust you to cover my back, and I did trust you to cover my back. Now the American citizens beg you, we plead, we need to trust you to defy immoral, illegal, oath-violating orders and commands. You must stand up for the basic principle that you raised your hand and swore to God that you would uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution, and those that obey immoral commands and immoral orders, military and law enforcement. You are defying the spirit of America and your conscience. Stand the up.
Wow. That's powerful, Ted. That's funny that you and I were both thinking the same thing. Well, tomorrow night, Ted, I want to talk to you about some deja vu I'm having. I'm sure you're watching what's going on in Sudan with horror, and I'm actually having deja vu back to Kabul. Boy, this is a recurrent pattern with the Biden administration that our listeners want to get your take on tomorrow night, right here on the Nightly Nuge. See you then.
I'll put a little swirl on the Dairy Queen snow cone of truth, logic, and common sense. Not only can't we believe Uncle Sam, not only can't we believe the DOJ and the DOD and the FBI, if you heard it on CBS, it's a lie.